Yo, the Kids official sliding on the instrumental. Nordic combos, twist your mental like forbidden.
Peace to the public and power to the people. It's a pleasure to be here, and your presence is a present as well in the space where the vulnerable are powerful, church, and where the most gangster thing you could do is serve. Welcome to All the Way Live.
This is the All the Way Live show, man. We want to thank absolutely everybody for joining us today. My name is Zwe Gila. I'm with my brother Miles Francis. Here, we with our producer Hassan on the ones and twos, man. We're all activists, community organizers, and servants of our communities. And what we do on this show every week is we give you that carefully curated content for your cranium. We do that because of a host of reasons, you know? We dedicate ourselves to research.
Yep.
And then we come to y'all with this information, man. The main reason we do this is because we know people are going through it, man. I speak about it openly on this show. I've had a few family members take their lives.
Rest up.
You know, and I also know that a lot of people are going through depression, loneliness, a host of things, man. So we intend to be a place of positive energy. So you can come through, get a bit of that good energy for your week, and keep it going, baby. That's what we do. Doing it again.
That's facts. And we bring you that from the UK. Shout out to our boy Hassan on the ones and twos. You know what I'm saying? Producing the show, making sure it's crispy for all our audiences. Shout out to y'all out there. Yep, on SoundCloud, on YouTube, wherever y'all taking in this content at. You know what I'm saying? South Africa's in the building. Johannesburg is in the building by way of my brother's way. Thank you for being in this space. Thank you for coming to us another week, brother. We know you're a busy man.
Likewise.
Yes, sir. But nonetheless, Chicago is in the building. Most definitely. This podcast is recorded on stolen land. This land was cared for by the Potawatomi people, the Council of the Three Fires, and the violence done to remove them from this land is inseparable from the violence that we see in this city today, this country today, and this world today. So we lift up that history. We lift up love between Black and brown people the world over. We lift up love for all of our listeners the world over. That's how you know that the intro is over. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we like all the way live though? You heard?
It's an exciting time for us because we get to do one of our favorite things, which is highlight people, organizations, creatives that are doing dope things. You know, usually we say this is a place where art meets impact. So we try and give the people a bit of both. We've been giving them a lot of impact lately.
A lot
of impact. It is good.
Need it.
It's true. And a lot of impact is being done. So this time we want to come through with some art and give them some of them cool new sounds.
And the only thing that's better than when art meets impact is when art meets impact meets family.
Meets family.
You know what I'm saying? And we've gotten to watch this artist, this creative grow for a minute. We've been able to watch this journey, and it's been really crazy. It's been dope, man. The music that's coming out now, gee.
And obviously, we're speaking of our friend, dear brother, Smoj. Smoj is a Afrobeats R&B music artist from Nigeria, residing in California at the moment. Recently dropped his last album, The Blue Door. So check that out on your DSPs if you can. You know what I love most about Sam's journey is that he chose very late that this is something that he wanted to do, and I think embodies somebody that just says, I don't care about what other people think about it. I'm just gonna get better in front of people. Mm-hmm. And one thing you can always rely on him to do is be able to send you his music for honest critique, which I think is very brave.
Yeah, and I've had the pleasure of being able to sit with him, talk through his approach to his music, talk through like even writing some of the stuff. Like, it's been really dope to see his pen grow, to see him, write through different stages of life, and then for that to be a bit polished, man. A bit polished, It's always, you can tell when somebody's sending you something and it's like, oh, it's one of the homies, you check it out. Okay, a little bedroomish, but you got a concept. But when you hit it on and then it clicks on the speakers, this oh no, this is different. There's time put into this, there's care put into this, and it shows in the product. So Blue Door, check that out, y'all.
Yeah, can't be more happier than to also have been given the video. I don't know if I sent the video to our producer.
Hey man, we giving them some visuals. They gonna have to go and get the rest. You know what I'm saying? We need those plays. Make sure you find Sam on all your DSPs. Smoge, find them on Spotify, find them on SoundCloud, find them everywhere that great music is distributed, and follow him, man, because y'all gonna want to be first up on somebody who's next up.
Now, I do need to give a disclaimer on our brother's music right now, okay? Because some people might hear you say that, take that music and just press play anywhere without understanding that. Warning, if you do play this music around people that like Afro beats, a lot of dancing is going to happen.
Yeah, be prepared for that.
There's a lot of dancing that's going to happen.
You can't just be setting vibes off willy-nilly.
Listen, and these are big vibes.
Big vibes.
Big vibes.
Caution. Vibe.
Oh, man. Yo, before we even transition out of here, my brother, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're inching into a time that I appreciate very much. You know, I'm all about the holidays. I'm all about family. I'm all about the food that comes with that. And the permission, I think, that we give ourselves in a different way to prioritize those things around the holidays. So I'm very excited for that. It's been a busy fall to winter transition for both of us, trying to maximize this time that we've had with you in this space. I think we've done that on the pantry side, on the show side, on a couple of different fronts. So it's been not a dull moment in the last few weeks. But yeah, man, as we move toward Thanksgiving, my brother's coming in the building this weekend. We're gonna see him a little bit later this afternoon. So that's what's on my mind, is and that's what's giving me life, is looking forward to the holidays, seeing the lights, and seeing everybody get that glow that comes with that.
Yeah, and you're a big Christmas dude too.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Giving is, it's a little bit of what I do. It's a small part of my life, I like to think. And for everybody to be in that spirit and celebrating, you know what it really is, man? It's really just Christmas, the whole holiday season. I feel like it gives everybody an excuse to be a little bit more empathetic, a little bit more open, a little bit more jolly. And just that excuse and the glimpse of what life can be like when everybody's just leaning into that, I think is beautiful.
It gets difficult for Christmas for people like myself because my love language is acts of service, right? So I will, to me, that's how I convey how I feel about someone. I'll do acts of service. But that, you can't put that in a box necessarily for Christmas.
Well, let me be hopefully not the first, but to let you know that those acts of service, they don't have to come in a box to be appreciated. I feel you've made lots of contributions to this household, some of them visible on this show. My glow up is a part of that. The place has glowed up as a part of that. This design is part of that. And so the contributions you make, I hope you feel are recognized even outside of the box, especially them culinary joints. Keep them coming.
Oh man, listen, and maybe that's what it is for some people, because not everyone is a talented gift giver, right? So it's just about finding different ways, I guess, of being able to do gifts. Maybe you could write a note to be like, hey, this is my gift. I'm gonna do your laundry for a year or whatever. Yours a bit.
Set the vibes.
Let's set the vibes.
Be the vibe setter. You be draping this place with candles and all types of scents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Set the
we live
vibes.
comfortably.
Maybe this holiday season, play your peoples some Smoge.
Pay some smoke.
Give the gift of Smoge, y'all.
Give the smoke. That is merch that should be coming soon. That is merch that should be coming soon. Well, man, we have so much content for people today. We have a whole bunch to be able to speak about. This is what we love to do most. I think without further ado, if the producer can take us to that new Stumble Upon, man. Yeah.
One of the best parts of having you here in Chicago, in the space where we record, you know what I'm saying, is that we can bounce ideas off each other all week. And I never know which ones, when you throw them out there, are gonna, some of them pop, like them little 4th of July sparklers, you know what I'm saying? And some of them,
I think some content writes itself.
I think we blew your mind this week with the Mandela effect.
You see, and this is like the great part about being creative is just like, because all week you're constantly thinking like, what are we actually going to speak about? What are we going to speak about? So that you have enough time to be able to research it and whatnot. And sometimes the content gods just give it to you. And you blew my mind when you told me about the Mandela effect.
See, I had never considered how being closer to that history might make someone immune to the Mandela effect. And so when I brought it up to you, like, yeah, bro, you know, the Mandela effect, expected that you would be like, yeah, I'm familiar with that concept. But when I told you that a whole lot of folks remember Nelson Mandela passing away in prison, you were flabbergasted.
You know what even tipped it further for me is when I brought it to our producer, I said the same thing. I was like, yeah, Miles talking about this supposed Mandela effect. And he goes, yeah, man, for sure. We all thought he's dead in prison. I said, wait a minute. You telling me the world is walking around right now thinking that Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela died in prison?
This is why it's so important that Joe Berg be in the building.
So if you could give people some context, what is the Mandela effect?
The Mandela effect is essentially it's a term for mass misrememberings of events, right? Yeah, it does feel a little bit Simpsons-ish, right? But I guess it's a just term that describes when a lot of people from different places remember something happening that didn't really happen, right? So the name, it gets itself from Nelson Mandela and this phenomenon because that is a particularly egregious case because so much of that story is historical record and, I don't know, pivotal to the development of a country into, you know, the modern nation state it is today.
You see, this my problem with the Mandela effect, right? Or the Mandela story is that the whole story is that he got out.
That's what I was alluding to. Yeah.
The story is this man went to prison for a long time and then went out.
But maybe that's part of it. Maybe because he was in prison from, I got this, 1964 to 1988.
Nice, great. Yeah.
Right? That's a long time. So there's probably a lot of people in there that at a certain point, the rest of the story was, so what happened to Nelson Mandela? He was in jail. He's been in jail. A lot of people, and then younger people coming up, unless they're specifically taught the history, might have known about this figure. Nelson Mandela might have known he went to jail. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know if it's people, it's interesting because like people I think just fill the gap, and we'll get to that in a second, of information with the most plausible story. I know he went to jail. I don't remember him getting out. He died in jail.
Did you believe Nelson Mandela died in jail?
See, good question.
The vulnerable are powerful, bro.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you like this, right? I don't know if I ever thought that Nelson Mandela died in jail. But when I found out about the Mandela effect and that people thought he did die in jail, I was like, I kind of remember that too. But I don't think I ever would have. I don't know. I think I was reading about the Mandela effect too early to be like, you know what I mean? To parse out which of the histories I believe beforehand.
I guess so. And it is particularly interesting. And I do think it speaks a lot to how we remember legends and we remember stories going forward, because it's almost like the significance of a person will dissipate over time, no matter how big someone is. There's people now that don't know that Michael Jackson had swaths of people at stadiums fainting, passing out at his live shows, before even saying a word. They don't understand the magnitude of how this man would shut cities down just by being there. The story is, oh, he was this crazy dude, and then you dismiss it, but you don't understand the magnitude of it.
So maybe we've been remiss in this conversation. Backing up.
Yeah.
Zway. Who was Nelson Mandela?
I mean, okay, so the story is Nelson Mandela was one of the 4 leaders of the ANC during the time of apartheid in South Africa. So he was effectively the liberation leader, right? He was sent to prison, like you said, in 1964 for 28 years, spent it on Robben Island. Upon him getting out of prison, upon him getting him out of prison, and actually I wanted to sidebar there for a second. I'm glad you asked me that, and it reminds me of Eve L. Ewing when we went to her poetry session, and she said, "Hey, normalize asking simple questions because not everybody knows."
Yep.
So thank you for that. Yeah. So once he got out of prison, the whole thing, right, was that there's a white and a black South Africa, and by all calculations, there was supposed to be a war that happens, right? Because you've got this oppressive regime, which is the minority, that has effectively put millions of people in concentration camps, in labor camps, right? And so Nelson Mandela comes out as the face of this movement. And so people expected that there was going to be immediate war. You saw a lot of white people leaving South Africa at that time, going to Australia, things like that. And there wasn't. It was a peaceful transition for most parts, right? So that is the story, is that this man who was able to leave after being in prison for decades can muster the grace of peace is the most impressive feat about him, not the fact that he went to prison.
Yeah. Well, thank you for breaking that down for us. And I think it's important as a part of this conversation and relevant because the phenomena of the Mandela effect takes its name, I think, from Mandela for that reason. It's because this is such an important piece of history that was forgotten. A lot of the other examples of the Mandela effect are pretty like trivial, right? So I'm gonna hit you with a couple of them.
Hit me with them.
And you let me know if any of these resonate with you, right? So Luke, I am your father. What is that? What comes to mind when you hear that?
That's Star Wars.
That's Star Wars, right? Luke, I am your father. No, Darth Vader never said, Luke, I am your father.
What does he say?
Luke says something like, you killed my father. And Darth Vader says, no, I am your father. He never says Luke.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right? That's crazy, right? All right, check this one. Another one, similar, right?
Yeah.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, right? That's what she said.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the greatest of them all?
You feel me? That's what, it's magic mirror. It ain't mirror, mirror. It's magic mirror on the wall, right? A lot of people remember that. That's in their childhood. I'm gonna get you another one from the childhood. Picture the Disney logo, right? How does the Disney logo get on screen?
It pops up.
All right, but then Tinkerbell shows up, right?
Okay.
And then what does Tinkerbell do?
She does this thing.
She draws it, right?
Yeah.
And then she spins around and dots the I on the Disney, right?
No, I don't know.
Okay, see, I remember that from my child vividly. I remember Tinkerbell swoops in, does a loop around the Disney, draws
she
it,
taps the eye.
and taps the eye, right?
She taps the eye.
Never happened,
What?
right? Never happened, right? A lot of people remember.
wait, don't skip over that. What happened then?
There's a couple of animations where the logo pops up and she does like a burst, like, and blows it up and stuff, but there's no animation of her looping around, drawing it, or dotting the I.
So this is where I get in my conspiracy bag.
Oh, let's get it.
Clearly Disney was feeding us.
Subliminals.
Subliminals, dude.
Drake, Hove, Disney. Subliminal Kings.
Subliminal Kings. That's wild.
Let's take it away from the childhood one, right? Sex in the City.
I read about this one earlier today.
You want to give it to the people?
Instead of Sex and the City, it's Sex in the City.
No. It's Sex and the City is the real.
Sex and the City.
Sex and the City. Sex
Yeah.
in the City, right? There's a whole bunch of these, man.
That's wild.
So hopefully some of those resonated with some. Another really popular one is the Berenstain Bears. People remember it as the Berenstein with an E. No, it's Berenstain.
Don't touch that. Don't touch that.
I know.
That's what got Kyrie out of here.
And it's good, right? It feels good to be talking about some of these lighter conspiracies.
It is. While we're here, what is your favorite conspiracy theory?
Oh, man. Let's see. Come back, Pac. Come back.
Your biggest conspiracy theory is you believe Tupac is still alive?
Pac's in Cuba,
Okay.
for sure. There's a lot of them. We did Burns Aren't Real on the show.
Birds are not real. That is my favorite conspiracy.
Burns Aren't Real is a good one. One that, like, Obama wasn't American. They were for sure trying to get him out of here.
Yeah.
And that he wasn't from America.
You know, my favorite one is that iTunes actually always plays the non-explicit version of a song first so that you can click on the explicit version.
Yeah.
So if you
Double play.
If you look for a song, you press it and it's clean. Who listens to that?
speaking of listening, here's the real modern conspiracy, right? I think this one is going to be proven in a couple of years. Our cell phones, the microphones, always hot, always listening.
Oh boy.
Picking up those keywords.
Oh boy.
Right? You picking up all that, like, yo, man, I really need dog food for my dog. Scrolling on Instagram, mad dog food.
But there's two things about that, right? Because on one side they say that the microphones are hot, but then on the other side they actually say that the algorithms are so good at predicting what it is that we're going to be requesting for. The algorithms are getting it right. So it's not so much that it's just picking up on what it is you're saying. It's that we're just that predictable, actually.
I think we're gonna find out these mics hot.
I mean, like, they're definitely hot.
I think some.
And no mic is hotter than this mic.
Woo!
Every week.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Yo, this goes like current news, man. Hey man, so this week for current news, while doing some research with our producer, came across some pretty cool, interesting topics. One of those things that we found is a study that said that they estimate that 1 billion people, especially youth from today, are going to be deaf in down the line in the future, right? Are going to have hearing issues, and that's all because of AirPod Nation. You know what I mean? The fact that we're a headphone wearing society. That was very interesting to me, especially because we're both people who I think keep our earbuds in our ear all the time, like most people do. So what does that kind of say about like our relationship with technology, what we're putting our bodies through, and what we're gonna find later down the line? That looking back, kind of like cigarettes, right? Where people were smoking a whole bunch of cigarettes on planes, in hospitals. I think I saw a movie once where a doctor was, delivering birth and smoking cigs at the same time.
I had the baby hold the cigarette while he was cutting the umbilical cord. Hold it.
Baby toy. Okay, too far. But all to say is there are things that we're doing right now that I don't think we know what's gonna happen later down the line with us,
Yeah. It's funny. This conversation also told me that we getting old. Because I for sure remember as a kid being told this in much less scientific terms than it's being presented today.
We're gonna go deaf.
Yeah, for sure. Turn that music down. And I think how much of this is a real issue and a concern, and how much of this is us as millennials transitioning into the generation that's like, all right, that music's too loud.
Have you found yourself asking people to turn music down?
No.
I have a very embarrassing story.
Oh, hit us.
And it happened recently.
Oh, no.
I was hearing just this bass thumping, and I thought it was from the neighbors downstairs, and I was about to get up and try and say something about it. Embarrassingly, it's our bass system right here.
Who? It was me?
No, it was just us.
It was
just playing right here.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
Dang.
I got to turn myself down.
Sometimes it's important to take a moment, assess the situation.
Turn yourself down.
Oof, that would have been rough.
It's a rough one.
I'm glad you said that, though. I'm a lover of hip hop. Sometimes hip hop demands crankage. You feel me? You got to turn it up sometimes. Right?
Almost always.
A lot of times, a lot of cases, a lot of music sounds better that way. A lot of that carries the energy, right? You getting older, slowing down. You know what I'm saying? Listening to a lot more R&B, so I can kind of see it. It doesn't surprise me.
I listen to R&B at max volume too. Don't get me twisted.
Oh, you listen to R&B at max volume?
100%. That's all.
Blasting that.
How else are you supposed to listen to Adele? Like on medium volume? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Okay. All right. Well,
You've never been rolling in the deep, I can see.
I've never been rolling in the deep.
Yeah.
That's quite an accusation, sir. You don't know me. I stay in the deep. Roll in the deep, sleep in the deep. What you mean? But this brings us to a good conversation of how have you been consuming? Has the way you've been consuming music changed? Because I remember you're absolutely right. Like as a kid, it was headphones in 19 hours a day. You know what I mean? One headphone in at least. As I got older, I got a car that drastically changed the way that I started listening to music. And again, getting my own space as a crib, getting the speaker set up, changed the way I listen to music. How have you been consuming most of your music still, even as you get older, through your earphones, or how has that changed? You listen to a lot in open air?
You know, I think what's actually happening to us, because we consume so much more media than just music, a Walkman could only do music, right? So you'd only listen to that for the occasion of music. But we've got these AirPods into our ears all day, listening to podcasts, YouTube. You can go to sleep with it because of the comfort factor. And this is not an ad for that, but that would be a great ad to have.
Y'all AirPod users are pretty much walking ads. They've got y'all.
It's that good a product. It is that good a product.
See?
It really is. Like,
See?
and this is the thing.
Can't help yourself.
But we check the stats. If AirPods were a company, right? If the product AirPods were a company, that's a company that brings in $8 billion a year in revenue.
Like hotcakes.
It would be one of the biggest tech companies in the world if it was a company on its own. The product AirPods are bigger than some tech companies. So, you know, I think that does speak to more than just that we're walking billboards, but the fact that we're moving, I think, into a culture where everyone is connected through these devices. And I do think down the line, that's one of the things that they're going to be like, you guys had things in your ears at 100% volume for years at a time. No wonder you guys can't hear anything.
Oh, do you think that's, well, yeah, I mean, the AirPods, I like how you brought it into it. We're using them for so many different things. I think the comfort factor, allowing you to sleep with them in. I don't know if that's the direction we want to move. With all that in mind, does that mean, should we be worried about? Should we be doing some consciously not using AirPods? Is it too good a product? Where do we go from here if it's that?
Can I be honest?
What's up?
I it's one of those things where I hope medicine has a solution for me down the line.
Oh, man.
Right? It's one of those things where I'm like, look, I hope they fix this later down the line so that when I get to that age where I'm hurting, they can inject some stem cells into my ears and heal me right on up.
You don't feel like, and you're speaking like an Apple addict right now.
I know I did say inject things in my ear and cure me up. I know the visuals are very addict-like. I'm not going to deny that.
You literally just said, yeah, man, these AirPods might be messing us up, but I just kind of hope that they figure out how to solve it. You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't taking these out of my ears. That's a damn show.
I mean, look, you have to pick your battles. There's so many things. Another one that we're going to see down the line outside of the earphones is the fact that we're letting young kids be on prescription medicine, on stimulants, and we're also letting young kids just consume unadulterated internet. The porn addiction levels are going to be through the roof, already are through the roof. You know, you're speaking to survivors. You know,
I told you had an addiction to AirPods, and you said they watching porn over there. But I feel you, though. I feel you. There's a spectrum of addiction that I think technology allows for us, right? It provides all that content on demand at all times, and it's going to be up to us, I think, to set some of those limitations. This show is a place where people can hear how dire the situation is and then get a little bit of information on what to do, hopefully mellow it on out. We ain't going to leave you with a cliffhanger like that, you know what I'm saying? Interestingly enough, despite how ubiquitous AirPods are becoming, earbuds as well, there's actually still more documented cases by doctors of actual hearing damage in young people from recreational firearm use and hunting.
Really?
Those are the things that young people especially, often come in and have actually damaged their hearing. But that's something that is often, young teens, maybe at the youngest, and older teenagers. Like you said, these kids are putting earpods in at 6, 7. So that's something that we will want to keep an eye on. Interestingly, a lot of these companies, you mentioned AirPods would be the biggest headphone company in the world if it was its own company. Apple, Beats, Panasonic, they're also investing in amplifying technology so that these headphones can serve as basically hearing aids. So that might be the move. That might be where you're going, is that they say, we're taking away your hearing, but we're giving you a way to hear. So keep us in your ear.
But even with that,
Ooh,
you know,
pay me, Apple. Damn.
but even like later down the line, you realize that we'll just have speakers that are within our ears connected to our brains. If you have Neuralink, already the earphones are speaking through they're speaking through connections together, right? So they're sending waves to the ears. That's how they're able to calibrate themselves. So and that's not a conspiracy theory. That's just facts of how the thing is designed. Because I know what it sounds like.
Hey, no, but I hear you. My question is, what you gonna do when you're walking down the street and all the shouties can airdrop your thoughts and hear what you're thinking?
That's like that one Mel Gibson movie. What woman want? Have you seen that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, when Mel Gibson walks around.
Damn, what a throwback.
Oh, yeah, so we bring him. That's what we bring him. For sure. For sure. That's already my life.
Word, mad women walking around. Get out of my head, Sway. That's your life.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. That's not the truth whatsoever. But one of the comparisons that people usually make about the earphones hurting our ears is that back when the TV first came out, people were spending now these inordinate amounts of time in front of the TV, which is supposedly to have said would mess up people's vision. Now you look later down the line, we have LASIK. You can go into LASIK. You know, they'll throw some lasers in your eyes and you can be at Starbucks 3 hours later, you know, with new eyes.
I think you might be oversimplifying LASIK, but medical advances are striving.
But those things can't happen in a short amount of time. Is all I'm saying.
For sure. Me, I'm too deep in the conspiracy lane. I'm not going to trust my eyes or ears to anybody's company or anything like that. I'm gonna just try and listen to my music, not in earbuds. Although they say it's more based on the volume level than how close it is to your ears. So I just want to throw that out there because it could be seen like we're saying that earbuds are really like the problem here, and it's actually just how loud you're listening to music. So if you want to be more conscious of that and you don't want to rely on the robots to fix us, there's a rule that you can listen to. It's called the 80-90 rule, right? Which is based on most smartphones and headphones. And the rule is essentially that you can listen at 80% volume for 90 minutes a day, right?
Thanks for that. That's dope.
That's just a guideline to go on. You know what I'm saying? Keep track. My phone definitely be yelling at me like, hey, bruh, you're going to lose your hearing. You keep running like this. So shout out to Apple. I think that's kind of cool that they kind of probably have some measurements around that and are letting us know. But the basic idea is that from 80%, 90 minutes, you can kind of break that down. All the less volume you listen to, the longer you're able to listen to it. And they say at 60% volume on most smartphones and earbuds that you're good the whole day.
Another thing that I heard is that you can take the butt out of your ear and hold it at arm's length away, and if you can hear it, then it's too loud.
I think that's the headphones. You got some cheap headphones if they leaking like this. I know some hood headphoons that I had that it really did. The headphones was just to show that I'm trying. Really, everybody could hear what I was listening to.
I hate that. I absolutely hate that. But that means that those are bad headphones, right?
Yeah.
They're expelling way too much sound in your ear. They're leaking too much sound out. We also, conclude. I think we can conclude on this topic. You got anything else that you want to hit the people with?
Yeah, man. Just I think you kind of touched on it, man. With the talk about TVs, it's not just the music that you're putting in your ears. It's also how much screen time are you getting. You know what I'm saying? How much time are you spending hunched over your desk? I think we're trying to adapt to those things with things like walking desks and stuff like that. But especially as we head into these winter months, find ways to get up, get active, set some timers if you need to, take a walk, do some just laps around the crib. You know what I'm saying? We've got to find ways to keep moving. You know what I mean? So that's it.
100%. All right, we got something new for the people today, something interesting. Shout out to our producer, which is that we got a whole bunch of random topics that are going to get thrown at us. We'll break them down, each give a bit of our thoughts on the matter. These can range from current news. This can range from things that are hot on Twitter, whatever the case is. So encourage absolutely everybody to drop a comment in the comment section about anything that they want us to touch on, and we'll break it down live on the show.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
kids,
hit us with it. What's our first one, producer? Jeff Bezos commits to donating $126 billion, most of his wealth, to charity.
Dang, Jeff Bezos, Amazon Jeff Bezos?
Amazon Jeff Bezos. JB.
Donating most of his money to what? Bless you. Bless you again.
Thank you. To charity.
To charity. Well, depending on which organizations he's picked, I think that's a great way that money can do a lot more good for more people outside of his bank account. I think that's fire.
That would make it the largest donation from a single person ever, right?
Cool.
Kind of off the topic of the conversation we had last week when we were saying, you're saying you don't care about how much it is that billionaires donate because of where that money comes from. Does something like this change your thoughts on it because now it's going to get redistributed?
No, I think at a basic level, I think the fact that you choose to give away a lot of that money doesn't change the fact that you were able to get that money from a system that also makes a lot of people poor. So I think that's a great thing to do if you're that man in that situation. If we're talking about what should somebody that's a billionaire do, I think they should identify the most effective ways that their money can be used to create equity and opportunity for other people and put the money towards that. But I don't think seeing someone do that means that, oh, well, we no longer need to change that system.
I'm glad you see it that way. And I think we have some comments that are coming through that will no, we don't. I was reading it off the list.
I feel you.
Yeah, you see, but this is what I was saying to you before about that same conversation with Jeff Bezos is that that's a significant milestone. That's a significant amount of money to get made, and somebody needs to be able to make that. I don't agree with this.
Wait. Sorry. That's a significant amount of money to be made. Yes. Somebody needs to be able to make that. I disagree.
Let me finish my sentence. Somebody needs to be able to make that amount so that it can get given out. Because if you expect just that amount to get contributed towards impact things, I think it would take a big effort to get as many people to contribute that amount. But if you have, I don't believe in that it's evil to acquire large amounts of wealth.
You keep bringing up evil in this conversation when nobody said. I never said that. You can check the tape. I've never said
Your
that.
energy says it. I don't like it.
Well, peep this, right? I think there's a fundamental difference between thinking that somebody needs to make that amount of money for people to have it and thinking that charity is not the system that we should rely on to better the world, right? I think that charity has a role to play in that, but I think when we fundamentally think about the ways of human beings operating, it's an idea of more collective ownership. It's the idea that resources are built from people and labor and natural resources, and that actually one person, we don't need to give it all or allow one person to amass it all in order for it to be evenly distributed. We can change the systems that take those resources and that labor and turn them into value and make sure that it's distributed at that point. And the idea that there's going to be these benevolent people that we can entrust to have all the money because they know what the amount of that's appropriate and most effective to give back is while they buy shit like the biggest yacht in the world. Nah.
You heard it here. Don't bring that around Miles.
I'm not saying if that's how you want to I'm not
being reductive. I understand. I just, our difference in all this is always going to come. And I don't want to dwell on it too much because we got some other stuff, but like our difference is I think that both things need to be done. The effort to be able to acquire for redistribution is equal to the value of building how charities can connect with that amount that gets made. Let's get another one going. I like this because these are the conversations we have off camera every week.
Qatar. This one hurts me.
Why?
And that's some bullshit to say because this one hurts a lot of people more seriously and more real than it hurts me. But it hurts me from the perspective of I had the opportunity to go to be in not even Brazil, but in Colombia during the Brazil World Cup. And to be from the United States that doesn't appreciate football, soccer, to be in a space during the World Cup that does appreciate that. It was this connection between countries and this collective celebration that I can only see a little bit mirrored in like the Olympics. And to be even in a country that was taking it that seriously, not even the country where the event was happening, was so inspiring to me that I was always like, that is now on my bucket list. I want to go to the World Cup with my homies and experience that. And so then I'm paying attention to where it might go. Chicago was even in the running a couple rounds ago, which was like exciting. And then for it to be in Qatar and to see the way that it's been handled, to see the way that construction has put people at risk and has led to deaths, and to see some of the way that they're moving now makes me really conflicted about this event that I was like looking at so positively and wanted to go to and be a part of.
There's a documentary on Netflix about FIFA, the organization that puts on the World Cup, and it's just corruption, like corruption through and through. Sepp Blatter, who is the former president of it, was ousted. There's that famous picture where they throw money at him, and we covered FIFA in one of our episodes. Go check that out. But it is a corrupt institution, and I think this is actually kind of very fitting what's happening. If people are paying attention to it, is that you're seeing what the entitlement of corruption can look like, because you've had these people who have purchased the World Cup to be held in their premises, and because of how much they've spent to purchase it, they are dictating their own rules on how it's going to be ran, that kind of overlook human rights things. A lot of it is human rights issues, right? From the death of the workers all the way to who's allowed to be in there, who's not. They put out a dress code recently. It's a mess. It really is a mess. So it feels arrogant a bit, but I do think it's a good thing to happen to FIFA to expose that the system that they're running is actually extremely, it's one-sided and it's not profitable.
Yeah. In that context of FIFA as an organization having those more than questionable instances is one also to consider in that. And so it's like, it's sad because I think I want us as a global people to have more opportunities to come together in celebration and not have it be tainted by things like this. And so I guess prayers up to the folks in Qatar that are protesting, that are, under like, that have lost somebody or have had their communities affected by this. That's who's at the forefront of this, and it's always complicated when there's entertainment involved and spectacle involved around that type of loss. So maybe next time, maybe the next World Cup will be something to celebrate,
And for people that are active about these sorts of things or want to get active, I'm seeing a lot of protests. I drove by a protest in Chicago earlier. A lot of people getting active about this. So especially if you're in big cities, I'm sure you can find people that are organizing to call for a boycott around it. I know people who are going, don't blame them, and I also know people who are boycotting vehemently, and I don't blame it either. Yeah, man, that was a little dark. I think it might be time for us to turn the lights up on these guys a bit. What is our producer? Do we have enough time to get one more? Or are we moving to the segment that they're here for?
I got you, dog. I kind of wish we had like the like a second line. I know that's the wrong city. That's New Orleans, but
A second line? What do you mean by that?
a second line is a big band line that often accompanies funeral processions in New Orleans.
Interesting.
And it's a cool way of making a celebration out of a farewell. And I think that's what we intend to do right here. Atlanta, Donald Glover, Zazie Beetz, Lakeith Stanfield, Brian Tyree Henry. Show on FX, 4 seasons, 2016 to 2022. Some of the television that I have seen myself in most frequently, consistently, and represented in a way that really resonated with me. So I appreciated this show a lot. What you think, Sway?
Best black TV show ever made.
Okay, that's a hot take.
Best black TV show ever made. And I've been sitting here and I've been thinking. And you think The Wire, perhaps, right?
Nah, The Wire's not The Wire's a great crime TV show, but I wouldn't consider that a black TV show.
Exactly, right? So you then have to think about a few other things, and it leads you down the comedy route. So you're thinking Fresh Prince.
Sure.
You're thinking Martin.
Yep.
You're thinking One on One with Kyla Pratt.
One on one. Yeah, some one on one. You skip a few things, but shout out to Kyla Pratt. I mean, there's a few other up there. There's
Best
Good
Modern.
Times.
Yeah, Best
Oh,
Modern.
Modern.
And you have Blackish. You can't take away from what has been getting done on Blackish. But when it comes to, I think, man, the social commentary, the nuance, the artistic element of it, and what I like about it is that Atlanta hasn't been perfect. There was a season where season 3, a lot of people felt like it kind of fell off a bit because they've been quite abstract with how they approached it. So, and it took 4 years between season 3 and season 4. We've been waiting on this for a long, long time. So there was a lot of weight on their shoulders in order for them to perform on this. And during that period, a lot of very good black TV shows came up. You had Insecure. You had all these, shows just pop up. Key and Peele did a whole bunch of things too. You put that in there. And then they dropped this. Wow.
You like it?
What I like most about it is that it was so intentful in what it wanted to do. And I think they carried that same intent even through a dip in season quality and then ended it in a very well-rounded way, which is interesting because none of the characters really get a resolution. It's very inconclusive.
They kind of get resolutions, but they don't really have arcs. Or if they do have arcs, they're very basic and very linear, right? Ern and Van start off the show kind of together and end up together. Paperboy starts out as trying to rap and ends up a good rapper. Darius starts off a little strange and ends still strange, and we might know a little bit more about that. Ern's journey is kind of from successless to successful-ish. Van gets to explore herself a little bit, but I would say that the character arcs aren't as strong as the situations that they put the characters in, the reactions that they allowed the characters to have on behalf of a black community that isn't always represented this authentically. I think in a lot of the shows that you mentioned, and no knock on any of them, but I think there's a certain element of black people acting in a way that they know that they are sure doesn't. This is difficult. What am I trying to say? The acting on a lot of these black shows tries very hard to present a good face for black people should some white audiences consume this content. And I think Atlanta does a good job of still presenting black people in a way that feels authentic and in a way that shows us as human and deserving of love, while showing our imperfections in a light that allows them to be captured with humanity. It's almost like the true, just basic idea of having a photographer who knows how to capture black people in light, because there's a certain, somebody who doesn't know how to capture that might look at it as a challenge and, this person's features make it difficult to capture this photo, where somebody who knows what they're doing sees those features as something to be embellished by the right strategy. And I think that's what Donald Glover has been able to do here.
That's very insightful. That's very insightful. What about this particular season? Because season 4, right? If we're speaking of this last season that dropped, what would you say is the arc of the season, the high moment of it?
I think this season is zooming out, coming off of season 3, which I think was very intentful about showing black people in spaces where we're not always safe or welcome. The whole gang goes to Europe. That makes for some uncomfortable experiences. We also get that episode where the black kids are adopted by the white family. And I think
First episode.
So I think this season is bringing black folks to some of the spaces where they're more comfortable, but having them confront some of the things, again, that are within their own community, right? the idea that we don't support other Black businesses the way that we should, the idea that Black history gets buried and we don't always celebrate it. I think they were really talking about the place that Black people have in culture, the importance and the proximity of what happens to Black people and what happens to this country, and how that is a reality that the Black community deals with, while individuals within the Black community struggle and rub up against each other and have issues too.
If you recall what I said to you after we finished the last season, I said, I think they were trying to make a very poignant point and separate themselves from everybody. I said that to you. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to this, in doing a bit of research, I was listening to a interview that Donald Glover had, where he spoke specifically about that. They said that they put up all of the Black TV shows up on their board, and they asked themselves the question of, what can we do that they can't do? Like, how do we show and do something that the best that are doing it right now cannot do? And I think undoubtedly one of those shows had to be Black Mirror, because there's such a Black Mirror feel to Atlanta. You know, it's a world that's relatable, but also clearly imaginative.
Yeah.
You know.
And fun, you know what I mean? It's a fun experience to be a part of it. It takes you through the tension and drops you into the real emotion of these situations. And I think it's easy, like, to talk about the show in a very artsy way because there's so many layers and there's so much to it. But I can't emphasize enough that, like, while I'm watching it, I'm not even having to think about it this hard. There's a lot of processing I can do in retrospect, and with multiple watches, like, I can just sit it and turn it on and just appreciate it as, like, you know, just watching people that look like people I hang out with do stuff that people I hang out with do. You know what I mean? And it can be that simple and enjoyed on that level and enjoyed on the cinematography, writing, metaphor level as well.
This might be weird to say, but I feel like if the Chappelle Show would have been able to run for long enough, it would have turned into something like this, where it allows itself to not just stick into a box of satire and comedy, but can get deep and can get dark and can get very introspective and can get just unfinished, but still left as is unfinished, which is like the story of a lot of how the episodes are sequenced after episode 2. Some stories don't have an ending. Some stories are very open-ended. Some stories are unconnected seemingly, but they all, I think, have the same intention, which is, what can we do that can stand the test of time? Like, what can we put out that fits? Interesting, if you notice, there was no mention of COVID in any of the seasons, even though it was filmed, part of it through COVID. It was not addressed once. And Donald Glover says that was intentional because they wanted the art to last longer than this momentary thing. So even going into it, I think they felt like, okay, we're doing something very special. The Disney episode, which I would say is my favorite, I think is a great way to show what they were trying to do with that, which is, we're going to put things out that even if you watch them out of context, are going to slap.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, you know, kind of after watching that episode and some of the last episodes of season 4, I think my only criticism of the show was that they, in giving each episode its own room to be its own thing, in a lot of ways, they sacrificed a lot of the development of those story arcs. So it's like, and that's not to give them a backhanded compliment, but I'm really fascinated with how much I care about these characters for how little of that there is. You know what I mean? Like, to see Ern and Van get together in the camping episode at the end, that was really nice, and I'm glad that that's the last episode I saw them in. But I don't know if that conversation and them getting together is more convincing than some of the moments I saw them get together in season 2. You know, doesn't really feel like a conclusion to me. Same thing with Paperboy. He's on his farm. That's great. But his career still goes on, and he still has to navigate hip hop and these spaces that are still dangerous. So to not have a satisfying conclusion, but to have characters that I'm still satisfied with, I think is really, really dope.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to end the show. Make lovable characters and then almost disregard them, and even in their how much they spend time with each other. That doesn't happen very much if you recognize the story or how they show it. It's almost each character is living their own life, and so part of one of the interviews with the writers, Donald Glover, his brother, and Hero, they speak on the fact that they wanted a realistic look at these sitcoms where the characters only engage within each other's universe, but everyone lives a life outside of what they're doing when they're together. And so you see that in the penultimate episode where you have Paperboy who is on this farm, seemingly from the episode of Soldier Boy where they were saying they were killing the rapper killer episode, right? Soldier Boy's like, you don't have a farm and you're a rapper? What? So you see that episode where it's just this man going through this journey, and then at the end of the episode, when Ern calls him, he goes, "Yo, man, what happened?" And he just fought off. He just went through a whole traumatic experience, and he's like, "Nothing." And then they get to the laughing, and I think that really does speak on our relationship as Black men. We go through so much, but then when we get together, it's jokes, it's vibes, and we don't necessarily really touch on what we're going through, even if we're literally are crippled from it.
Dang, that's real, man. That's real. And this show does such a good job of presenting those situations in a way that resonate, but that aren't too like preachy. Like you don't feel like you need to be learning a lesson. It's just like, I can see myself there, right? There's a few episodes we can definitely see each other, but go ahead.
But check this out, right? Off that same episode, Ern calls him and he says nothing, and then he starts joking, right? And then he starts cracking him up. He goes, "Hey, don't get killed out there," and then they start laughing. At that moment, that laugh is what Paperboy needs the most at that time. He wants to escape this place that he's at, and that's how men trauma bond, is through laughter. We just come to each other and just joke our way through the pain.
That makes for a complicated relationship. Is that like, because that sounds like a positive thing until you've only laughed and not talked about the thing.
And that happens often with men. That happens often. That's how we let a lot of men who are creepy slip by. That's how we let a lot of men who are, not the most accommodating of making a safe space for women get by. That's how we let creepy uncles get by. We just never talk on the point, and we can just laugh through a whole bunch of shit.
So what's the right amount of laughter, which, as you just indicated, like is part of that medicine?
Real talk, bro. Real talk. I think honestly, we need to accommodate.
We in it now.
we need to accommodate. And you see this in Jewish families. You see this in Muslim families. You see this in. It's true though, but like check this out, Italian families too. You need to have set time to congregate on serious topics. You need to monthly congregate to speak on what's happening, even if the intention is not to leave with a solution. Everyone needs to get together, and this is not joke time right now. Let's each go through what's happening in our lives, or what we're facing, or challenges, or whatever. And I think at that time you can be honest with each other. Something to think about.
How about that family time? Family that's blood, a chosen family, and really talk about what you're going through.
Yeah, we should try doing something like that and see what happens.
Nah, let's just keep watching Atlanta.
Oh, we can. Or we do that every week.
Big facts.
Every week we do that.
That's what this space is for. We hope you understand that this space is for you too. If there's anything that you want to talk about, hear us talk about, please share that with us. You are not alone in any sense of the word. We appreciate you, and we hope that you see this show kind of how we see Atlanta. It's just something that can be a part of that healing process, but not enough by itself. Talk to your people.
Gotta talk to your people, man. And I appreciate being able to speak to you. I think we do try and take an honest approach at each other, whether it comes to difficult topics about love, about whatever the case is. Men need to talk more. Men need to talk to each other more, man. So many of us are just sad and mask it, we mask it with nonsense and then we cheer each other on. We need to talk to each other more.
Word. Word.
Hey, what do you give this a rating of?
I mean, it's a 5 out of 5 show for me.
5 out of
You know
5.
what I mean? I don't know if I could like a show much more than I like this one, especially a modern show. Like, this hit me in my young adulthood, and, you know, not a lot of things have stuck to the rear like Atlanta has, you know? So this is a show that, whether it's whatever it is, I don't know, we can't even get box sets anymore. How do you preserve, how do you be like, yo, how do you buy a TV show now?
Blu-ray.
Blu-ray? Even that.
It doesn't
Even
slap the
that,
same.
Yeah, even that.
It doesn't slap the same.
But whatever, maybe I'll buy a dope print or something like that of Atlanta. See if Donald Glover has anything up on the site, because I would love to support it and just
NFT?
have some type of, not my steez, but you know, I loved a lot of these episodes, man. And shout out, I like that you said Hiro Murai, the dude that directed most of it, longtime collaborator with Donald Glover. That was fire. Some of my favorite episodes, season 1, episode 2, Earn in Jail. That one brings up a lot. Earn's Broke Date,
Oh, we just watched that episode.
season 1, episode 3.
Oh, season 1, episode 3 might be one of the most relatable episodes that they put out.
Yeah.
If you're a dude and you've ever been on a date and you have a certain amount that you have on you, and you know exactly how much it is that you have on you. You came there with $70.
Yeah. Oh, you knew what she couldn't have for dinner. You might not have told her, but you knew what she couldn't have for dinner.
If we want to take this podcast to the next level, we'll speak on what happens when you're at the date and she's ordering
what she couldn't have for dinner. Yeah. Gets deep.
Hey, that's when you have to get, you know, you
Creative.
what's your excuse of why you're drinking water?
What? Still gotta stay sharp. I'm driving. What you mean? I'm doing a cleanse. No soda. No nothing. No Nathan. Killing his salad too. Had a big lunch.
That's why you gotta do that. I'm fasting.
Yeah. There you go.
It's Ramadan.
It's not. It'd be February.
Look, if people can believe that Mandela died in jail, they can also believe that it's Ramadan.
Whatever you say it is.
Whatever it is.
You have a beanie on. That makes me believe you.
Alhamdulillah.
There you go. One of my other favorite episodes, season 1, episode 7, the Black Action Network.
Band Network. Classic.
Good one, man.
Classic.
Some great episodes, man. Go check out Atlanta if you haven't checked it out. Run back to it. Some good, wholesome TV. 5 out of 5 for me.
5 out of 5. Yeah, man, thank you to the creators. We don't thank people enough for their art.
Yeah.
Because it's more than just enjoyment, man. This is something that this is forever art. So congratulations on being intentful, pulling it off, on making such great art.
Hope somebody speaks about us like that one day.
In due time, because we know.
We know, man. Y'all could be anywhere in the world. Y'all could even be watching Atlanta, but y'all are here with us, man. Y'all are rocking, and if you are hearing my voice right now, that means you are family. This is a celebration of life. This is a celebration of love. This is a celebration of how good it is to know that Mandela got out of jail and became president of South Africa.
Mandela didn't die in jail, dude.
Word. Only facts. This is where else? Where else can you get these type of facts? Yo, eat something delicious. Hug somebody you love. Listen to that new Dave East, Book of David. We'll be reviewing that next week for sure. I'm stamping it. That is heat. Keep checking out our listening sessions every Friday. We spinning records related to what we gonna review. We just killed some Atlanta records this past week.
You had a great set.
Thank you too, my G.
Thank you.
You too, my G.
Check out Miles' set.
And my brothers. Jump on that. Check that out. We're going to do another one this week. Probably some Dave East type jams. Shout out our producer, Hassan, keeping this show running smoothly. You know what I'm saying? Shout out all our audiences. Like that. Peace, water, we gone.
Yeah, I get that.